Now, also tonight, we continue to expose the biggest black helicopter tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist in the Destroy Trump media, NBC's Rachel Maddow. This is off the hook, out of control, and if it wasn't so serious, it's actually funny. Now, last night, remember, they were expecting a big victory. Results rolling in from the race in Georgia. President Trump mentioned this at the rally. Rachel Maddow, instead of focusing on their big loss, puts on her tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist wires. And by the way, asked if bad weather was to blame for bad Democratic voter turnout and their loss. You can't make this stuff up. Take a look.
If there was a turnout effect from the bad weather today in the district, does that have any partisan implications that you could foresee in terms of what was expected for same-day, election day voting in here rather than the early vote?
See, the weather kept only Democrats home. And, of course, a night cannot go by without Maddow floating some sort of Trump-Russia collusion conspiracy theory, even though nobody says it, nobody believes it. It's been debunked to date. There is zero evidence of Trump-Russia collusion, nothing whatsoever. It's been a farce, a total fabrication, 11 months of lies and conspiracies made up by people just like Maddow. Now, despite these facts to date, Rachel, she was at it again, whipping up a new crackpot theory involving President Trump, the mob money and money laundering, and even Vladimir Putin made it into the mix. Now, you cannot make this stuff up. Well, I guess apparently she can. It's NBC News. Take a look.
If this new reporting from Tim O'Brien proves out about Russian money pouring into Trump properties and it coming from sources close to Putin through people known for their mob and money laundering ties, if that reporting proves out, we're left with the question of why that happened. Why was money connected to Putin pouring into Trump projects? Why did they do that?
Keywords, if this proves out, but then she goes to, why would they do that? If you've been watching this show, you know that example is nothing compared to the other unhinged, completely insane things that NBC and Maddow are saying night after night, day after day. Here are just a couple of her craziest Trump-Russia conspiracy theories. You're going to love this. Take a look.
Just last week, Reuters reported on 18 new, previously undisclosed contacts between the Trump campaign and Russian government officials. U.S. investigators, including the FBI, are looking into a Russian citizen in conjunction with one of the incidents on the Trump campaign last year.
Maybe he's not as charitable as he says, or maybe he's not really under audit. Like, all of those little things might be true. Okay, that'd be interesting to know. I don't know that that would change the world that much. But what would change the world is if, you know, Russia was interfering in the election, and they weren't doing it on their own, and he was in on it, you know?
The FBI director being fired by the president to try to change or stop an FBI investigation into the president's campaign and his top staffers, that is a big freaking deal.
Big freaking deal, no. By the way, you may remember back in 2011, Maddow tried to explain away then Congressman Anthony Weiner's very graphic, very lewd tweet. Another conspiracy theory. Take a look.
If the congressman was hacked, as he said he was, if he was pranked, how would that work? How could a person do that? What would that look like? The Daily Kos writer looks at the image of the congressman's Twitter account more closely, and judging from the pixelization of the images and some other visual clues, he concludes that the damage was a composite, saved a number of times, indicating it had been photoshopped. For a theory with fewer steps, a number of other blogs have different versions of a theory of a potential hacking that looks at the information embedded in this controversial picture. A third, but by no means final theory, has to do with the photo sharing service that I was talking about earlier, YFrog. It's not all that hard to generate a program that would try every possible combination using your Twitter name until you got the right email address to use this service to post pictures.
And there wasn't a hacking. Now, of course, there was also the time that Maddow theorized that Republicans may be pushing assassinations as an actual political tactic. Take a look.
Has enough kerosene been poured on the flames that the possibility of violence, even assassination, is being posited as a real political tactic in the United States?
And why not play the race card? Last year, Maddow asked if Donald Trump is, quote, a gateway drug to racism in the GOP. Let's look at this.
A lot of people who I think are critical of Donald Trump generally look at praise like that from somebody like Donald Duke and wonder if he is a gateway drug, if there is something beyond Donald Trump himself that means a much greater transformation of the Republican Party into something that is going to be new to mainstream politics.
So in the Destroy Trump media, what you just saw somehow passes for, quote, news. So I have to ask, hey, Tom Brokaw, are you proud of NBC News now? You know, I knew the late Tim Russert. He never behaved. He never reported things like this. For example, my former colleague, Megyn Kelly, moved over to NBC. Is she proud of this type of reporting? Megyn interviewed, for example, was a big deal, made a lot of news, conspiracy theorist Alex Jones last week. Should she now interview Maddow this week so she can be fair and balanced? What about Matt Lauer? Does he support this nonsense, these conspiracy theories that are being spewed? By the way, what about Andy Lack? He's the head of NBC. He okay with all this? Now, the only thing the Democrats, members of the Destroy Trump media, have left are these tinfoil hat conspiracy theories, as Rachel says, and they're using them to create distractions, to try and stop President Trump from what? Keeping his promises and his agenda, bringing him forward. And, of course, we're putting up on your screen right now the key points of the president's agenda. Now, Democrats and the media have proven they're willing to say and do anything to stop the president from enacting that agenda. Enough's enough.